both sides to settle down. Question number 11, Eugenie Sage.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for the Environment. Does he support a target of protecting 30% of New Zealand's marine environment, including the exclusive economic zone? If not, what target does he support?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, the government's commitment is to a representative network of marine protected areas covering the full range of biodiversity from New Zealand's subtropical to the subantarctic waters. This is more important than achieving some arbitrary percentage of marine area, although I do know this government has, with the inclusion of the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary, increased the area of MPAs from 0.5% to 15%.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
On whose advice did the New Zealand Government delegation to the recent International Union for the Conservation of Nature Congress refuse to support a motion passed by majority to set aside 30% of the marine environment?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
By ministers.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Does he agree with WWF New Zealand, who called his government's refusal to support the IUCN motion as being out of step with marine science and with the 96% of Kiwis who want more than a third of New Zealand's environment protected? And if not, why not?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, no, I don't agree with that assessment. With 15% of New Zealand's exclusive economic zone with the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary, New Zealand will have a higher proportion of its ocean area in reserve than any country in the world, and I note it would increase by more than 30-fold under this John Key-led government.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, how many marine protected areas has this government established, and in what areas?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, we have established 11 new marine reserves, 3 in the subantarctic islands, 5 on the west coast, as well as reserves in Kaikoura, in Akaroa and in North Auckland, total an area of more than 450,000 hectares. That does not include the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary that we intend to have in place by the 1st of November, and that will actually provide for an area of marine protection more than twice the total land area of New Zealand, or equivalent to the area of France.
Supplementary question, Eugenie Sage.
Does he still agree with the advice he provided to a Cabinet Committee last year that a key shortcoming of the Marine Reserves Act is that it, and I quote, does not provide for marine protection in the vast majority of our ocean environment, the EEZ and the continental shelf, close quote, and if so, why will his proposed bill not fix this key shortcoming?
Mr Speaker,
of those two supplementary questions,
because the member overlooks the very significant decision by the Cabinet to establish one of the largest marine protected areas in the world in the Kermadecs, which makes up 15% of New Zealand's EEZ, and in anybody's terms is a huge contribution by our government, both domestically and internationally, to marine protection.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Will the establishment of these reserves be accompanied by a reduction in overall fishing quota issued, or will they simply displace fishing effort into the remaining parts of the EEZ?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, there is only 20 tonnes currently of fishing in the Kermadecs area out of a total fish take per year of 600,000 tonnes. And so the shift in any fishing effort is quite small. The bigger issue is that as the price of fish increases, as the technology to be able to fish further away is the reason why it makes sense, just in the same way as that our forebears set aside areas like Fiordland and Tongariro on land equally it makes sense for us to set aside this very special part of New Zealand's ocean area.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Is the Minister saying it's okay for the government to confiscate your property if you're not using it?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
No, it's not. And I recall very specifically at the time when the quota management system was established and when the Maori fisheries settlement was done, that the government made very plain, in fact I personally at the time questioned, was it proper for government to be able to create marine protected areas with either the ITQ system or the Maori fisheries settlement? And the answer at the time was very clearly yes. That is, when the government set those systems up, it quite deliberately continued to allow government to create areas of marine protection.
Question number 12.